What did he punch a producer? They pulled the show.
Well, I know a little bit about that. So we had a Velociraptor Raptor truck that we were up in Canada with these guys. So this has been back in into 2014, and so like I'm working with the producers, and they're like, when you're around the talent, don't talk to them, don't spend time around them. I'm like, I'm around famous people more than these guys. These guys are a lot more famous. I mean, I don't care that they're a big deal. So anyway, so the producers kind of being a dick, and so we show up with these guys, and then we're like provide the vehicle. And they're going to go cross country through Canada and through the mountains and do all this crazy shit. And then they're going to go up on the mountain. They're going to rescue Richard Hammond, who's at the top of the mountain. And he's got one of these Breitling watches where you pull out the little cord and it tells the satellite that you're stranded. So it gives your coordinates to get rescued. Anyway, so now the producers are saying, well, you can't go up on the mountain while they're filming. I'm like, okay, but listen to this. I'm going to go watch football. It's the playoffs. I'm going to go watch football. And if something breaks and you need us to help you, we're not coming. They're like, oh, then they change their tune, like, okay, well, come with us. And finally, it all turns out fine. Well, that producer, I won't say his name, but that producer that was being a massive dick, and maybe he was just doing his job, like 2 weeks later, they're somewhere else and they're in England, and Jeremy gets a little bit of a temper, and these guys work long hours, and maybe they hadn't eaten, and the producer guy was fucking with him, and Jeremy fucking whacked the guy. And I'm like, I wanted to fucking punch that guy a couple of times too. But I can't do that, and I don't want to get arrested in Canada anyway.
Yeah, so they canceled the show.
Yeah.
And didn't Jeremy and him make up? But they're still like...
I'm sure that's all, water under the bridge. But Jeremy, Richard Hammond, and James May were all very tight. I've spent time around them. And then the other guy that's behind the scenes, but just so talented, his name is Andy Willman. He was the producer when they were on BBC. Now he's the producer. But when Steven Tyler was being interviewed, you're like this from your comedy part of your brain. When Steven was being interviewed by Jeremy, I noticed that the interview went on for like twice as long as it probably should have. And I get claustrophobic, so I don't like being in tight crowds. So I'm kind of hanging towards the back of the crowd that they're filming all this live, and then they aired it later. But they're filming it in front of a live audience. And here, this guy that looks like he's a homeless dude wearing a T-shirt, looked like he hadn't showered in about a week. He's standing there making notes. And I realized that was Andy Willman, the producer of the show. And so what Jeremy's doing, he's telling all these jokes and asking these questions. And Andy is using the live audience as his focus group. Oh, they laughed at this. Oh, I don't think this is as funny. And that's how they edit it before it gets transmitted to the rest of the UK and the world.
Interesting.
I thought that is so clever. That is so smart. It is smart. And I don't know if that's, comedians or entertainers kind of, but, you would think to some degree you want to improve your craft, but he's got a quick turnaround time. So like he's got another show he's got to do the following week. So he's just like, Jeremy's doing all this stuff, and sometimes they laugh and sometimes they wouldn't, but this guy was definitely paying attention.